Welcome, everybody. Can you hear me okay? I hope you can. Um, we're going to give it a go. And what I'd like to try to do is, as much as possible, just ask questions. These things when you're online, they can actually get kind of boring sometimes because you end up talking to your computer screen. Uh, the way that we could get things started is if you're willing to go into the chat and just click on the bottom, say hello, who are you, where are you from, why are you here, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream. It doesn't matter what it is, just do something to get the talk started, and we're going here. And let's see how we go. All right. Frederick and Rick, you guys got your work cut out for you. I'm glad I'm not doing this multitasking at the same time. Um, okay, welcome to Pitch Anything to Anyone Better and Faster with AI. As I was talking to a few people at the beginning of this, I'm just amazed at what you can do with AI right now. Um, First of all, some introductions. I'm Bryan Cassady, Director of the Global Entrepreneurship Alliance. We're on a mission to coach, train 1 million entrepreneurs by 2027. Who am I? I'm first and foremost an entrepreneur. I've done 11 companies in 6 different countries. I'm also a teacher and a mentor. I teach at some top business schools, the Solvay, the Caillou Leuven, EdHec, Berkeley, University of Chicago. And I teach around 5,000 business students per year, which means I see a lot of pitches. And I see some good pitches and I see some bad pitches. And what I'm going to give you today is this secret to make some bad pitches into good pitches. Not bad pitches into great pitches, but good enough that you can adapt and make them better. I'm also an author and a researcher. I wrote a book called Cycles, which is about how to innovate faster while reducing risk with 23 other people. It hasn't made me rich, but I sell about 10 copies a day, and it's quite a good book. I'm writing a new book on pitching, and I do some research on AI and creativity. For me, pitching is something important. Pitching is all about people getting their ideas out there. If you're teaching in the area of entrepreneurship or innovation, the ability to pitch is an important part of the process because it's what makes people's ideas come real in the world. It gets your message across, it presents the real you to the world, it makes things happen. And if you can't pitch, things get difficult. As I said earlier, I'm a bit committed to this. I have a book proposal out right now to make a new book on pitching, the pitching playbook. I've got a course up on Udemy, which has no viewers right now because we haven't promoted it. But all of you, if you stay to the end, we'll get a free link to watch the course. And the thing that you're here for today is we got some really cool AI tools which make pitching easier and better. Now, the reality is everyone needs to pitch all the time. And pitching determines how people see you. It gets people to take action. You can't live in this world without pitching at all. And when I look at the pitches, I'm looking over, I've got another screen over here. So if I'm looking away, I'm looking at the chat as I'm going through it. The best pitches get people to pay attention to you and your ideas. A good pitch is often the first way that somebody sees you. And as they say, first impressions count. A good pitch is not everything you can say. And in fact, that's probably one of the biggest human dangers. The better you know a subject, the more you know about something, the more you talk about it. A pitch should be a limited version of what you can say and limited enough so that people can catch what you're talking about, get them interested, and open up a real conversation. When you can't pitch, things are tough. Most of the time, your audience wants to get your message, feel your story, connect with you, but there's a challenge, and that is the ideas that we have live inside our heads, so there's lots of room for misunderstanding. When you can't communicate what you want to say, it's frustrating for you, but you ever think about the guys on the other side? A good pitch is a way to help people understand and makes a connection and gets people to take action. Pitching is also there. Wow, we got all these chats coming in. I'm looking Fantastic. I'm going to have to do some multitasking to be able to read this at the same time. Um, Effective pitching is a great process because it forces us to focus our thinking. To pitch well, you need to know a couple things. First of all, you need to know what you're thinking. And for those of you who are like me, knowing what you're thinking yourself is oftentimes difficult because you have to clarify what you want and where you're going. You have to understand what someone else is thinking. You have to figure out how to share your ideas. You have to figure out how to get them to take action. Done right, pitching focuses your thoughts into a short talk. Before we can talk about using AI to pitch, we have to define what a pitch is. For me, at the most fundamental level, a pitch is about changing or confirming what people think and getting them to do something. You can think about a pitch in the form of the following questions. What do people know before you talk? And what should they believe after you talk? And what action should they take? And actually, what your pitch is what came up between those two things. So a pitch doesn't need to be for a startup. It can be convincing someone to get married with you. It could be convincing your wife to go out someplace. It could be anything else. But the fundamentals of a good pitch are grab attention, it's clear, ask for action, and it's short. Now, I love this slide. I think this says a lot. We've all got a lot to say. But did you know the talk that earned Watson and Crick the Nobel Prize for the discovery of DNA was a little less than 5 minutes long? Seriously, if they can explain the meaning of life in less than 5 minutes, I'm sure you can pitch your ideas in the same amount of time. Now we're getting to the problem. I work really hard helping companies pitch more effectively. I've run accelerator programs with 1,000 students at a time. 1,000 students. We have courses, we have templates, we have mentors, we give people time to practice. But the reality is, almost every time I do this, and I don't take this as a criticism, me as a teacher, approximately 30 to 40% of the startup pitches are a big fail. They're not clear, they don't have a call to action, people don't understand what's going on. And the shorter the pitches, the higher the failure rate. Now, if it was only in my courses I saw this, if it were only at my events I saw it, I'd say, well, I must be the problem. But in fact, I work as a judge at a lot of pitching events. And what I see is we're not alone. So maybe, just maybe, it's how we're coaching, teaching, and supporting people to pitch. And I believe AI can change the game pretty dramatically. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about some theory, and then I'm going to try to buckle things up and show you where AI fits into all this. Yep. So I've got the magic 5. 5 is easy. You got 5 fingers, and we're going to talk about 5 things 4 times. For me, there's 5 principles that you need to think about when you're putting together a pitch. There's 5 minutes, which is how long your pitch should be. There's 5 how-tos, and there's a 5-step process. And the AI is going to be used in the 5-step process. The 5 principles. First is a mindset, and that is a pitch is not just getting information over. It's a story. It's coming out and telling people something. And a story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. The way that you get a story to work is you practice, you get feedback, you work and improve, and then you make your slides. Now, for all of you out there, 99% of the people who watch this are going to say, look, a pitch is about my slide deck. When people think about pitching, they think about a pitch deck. I want to tell you really, really clearly, you don't need a pitch deck to make a pitch. And in fact, many of the very best pitches I've seen have people just standing up and talking. What you do need is something to say and something to ask for. The pitch deck isn't the magic. The magic is what you have to say and how you say it. Let me repeat something I just said. You need to get what you need to say right, then make your pitch deck. Write a story, get feedback, improve, then make your pitch deck. One of the things you'll find is there's a lot of AI tools out there right now. You can say, give me your subject, and I will write you a pitch. I don't know if you've ever tried to present these things. They're pretty horrible. The second 5 is about the time. A good pitch is usually 5 minutes or less. When you pitch, usually less is more. I tell people to focus on 5 minutes for a couple simple reasons. Research shows that the right length of a pitch is somewhere between 3 and 10 minutes on average. So 5 is a good target because people usually lose interest after 5 minutes. Now, you might notice right now we're 12 minutes in. You're getting a little bit antsy. You're saying, oh man, when is this guy going to get to the AI stuff? So you have to do something to catch people's attention and hold them there. Also, working with a lot of people, I know that if they target 5 minutes, they'll come in with something at 8, 9, 10. So do yourself a favor, target something less than 5 minutes, make your life easy, and make your presentation easy to do. Now, one of the favorite statistics I have is a study that has been done by a guy named John Gottman. John Gottman is famous in the US for his ability to predict marriage success rates in 5 minutes or less. I'm not going to tell you how he does it. It probably doesn't make him very popular at parties, but it shows you can communicate a lot of information quickly. If you can figure out if a marriage is going to work in 5 minutes, you should be able to figure out if a business is going to work in 5 minutes. And business ideas are easier to assess. The third 5 how-tos. And I promise you, we're getting to the AI. The first how-to is to talk to the crocodile brain. All your pitches start with emotion. The crocodile brain is where emotions are. It decides what it pays attention to, what it ignores. In today's over-communicated world, most of what we see, we need to ignore. How does the crocodile brain work? You got different pathways. It's boring, I ignore it. It's dangerous, I run away. It's too complicated, I ignore it or radically simplify it. I'm just going to let somebody into the meeting room. A winning pitch is the one that feels interesting, the one that says, I want to know more. I got to go forward from here. Now, when I look at this and I coach people, I give them some simple advice. If you can get people to feel something, you're on the right track. The second thing that you need to think about in terms of the way you structure your pitch, and the reason why I'm going through the theory first is it actually shows you how we use the AI tools in a bit. The first thing we talk about is getting the introduction right. The second thing we do is we talk about the structure of the introduction. The structure of the introduction should be learning to lead with your conclusions. I'd like you to compare 2 letters. The first letter is a letter to Shirley from Lucy. She says, Dear Shirley, remember last Saturday afternoon when I was playing in the park with my boyfriend and you came over and you told me when my back was turned, you kissed him. And also on Sunday when you came to my house and my mom made you a tuna fish salad and you said, yeah, that's the worst salad I ever ate. And yesterday when my cat brushed against my leg, you kicked her and threatened to sick your dog Monster on her. Well, for all these reasons, I hate you and I no longer want to be your friend. This is how we've been taught in school. We get a few points, and then magically at the end, we wrap everything up and we put it in a bow. There's a great book out there called The Pyramid Principle. It's actually required reading for the people who work at McKinsey, and they talk about a different way to structure presentations. You start with the end. You start with the conclusion. Let me give you an example. Here's the letter rewritten. Hey, Shirley, I hate you. Here are my reasons. You stole my boyfriend, you insulted my mother, and you scared my cat. Now, when I look at the typical presentation I see, what happens? There's a young, clever guy, lots of energy. He stands up and he says, Hi, hello, everybody. My name is Bryan. Who here has ever had a problem with XYZ? That's right. What do you get? You get a big yawn. A better solution is to shorten it to an organized format where you can say, Hi, I'm Bryan, and here to talk to you about a solution to the following problem. Here's 3 reasons you'll want to invest in my solution. We're almost there. We're almost to the AI, guys. How-to number 3 is the content. Content. The great starting point of any presentation is the content. What you have to say is more important than how you say it. You can always learn to present better, but if the content isn't good, then you don't have a good pitch. You know, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. The first way to get your pitch right is to focus on your content before you start thinking about style and tricks. And I'm looking at the chat here. When I work with companies, I spend most of my time getting the focus on what I call the 4 Ps. And you can do this in lots of different ways, but it's basically the problem, promise, proof, and payoff. The problem explains what's going on. The solution is what you're giving them. The proof is the reason I should believe you, and the payoff is why they should take action. If you get these right, you're already a long ways to making the right pitch. And then you got 2 more, which is about profitability and passion, which wrap up the package. Now, when I see presentations for companies, I see a couple warning signs. One warning sign for me is everything is perfect. All you need to do is say is yes. The second one is the long, confusing pitch. Honestly, if you can't explain it to an 8-year-old, you're probably too complicated. And the person who needs lots and lots of time to talk about what is there. Okay, we're there. We're at point number 4 of 5. We're almost done. Point number 4 is end with passion and a specific ask. You need to end your pitch with passion and a call to action. If you're not passionate, how can you expect your audience to be? In the beginning, the middle, and especially the end, you need passion. Passion wakes people up. Passion gives people a reason to buy into your vision. There's a simple recipe to follow for closing your next pitch. It runs 1 sentence, write down what you want people to do, then 3 solid supporting arguments. Then think about what you want to show people at the end of your talk. Okay, point number 5 in the how-tos, and we're almost there. How-to number 5 is the secret sauce of pitch success. It's all about practice. Practice is a lot more than repetition. Good practice is deliberate. You should try different openings, try different supporting arguments, try different call to actions. You should try and learn. Feedback is important, but we usually ask the wrong thing. You ask your mom, hey, what do you think of my new business idea? She's always going to say, that's great, son. God, you're the smartest kid that I've ever come across. Instead, you might try asking the following. Mom, I know you think I'm smart. I know you're loving. Could you please tell me if this idea failed? Why did it fail? That's what experts do. In fact, what you'll find is the more experienced somebody is at pitching, the more they will look for negative feedback. The less experienced they look at pitching, the more they're going to look for positive feedback. I love this picture just because it's a good picture. I'm sure somebody thought this was a good idea, that you want to introduce diet water. By the way, I found out in a presentation when I made this that in fact it sells pretty well. So maybe it's not as bad idea as it looks, but I'm sure his mom told him it was a good idea. So the most important thing you need to know about the pitching process is the next slide. What you're going to see is when you pitch things, your ideas get more and more and more complex. And somewhere, we're usually up on the top someplace when we're making our presentations in terms of complexity. We've all had great teachers and lousy teachers. Great teachers work hard to make things simple. Lousy teachers share all the complexity in their mind with you. It's the same with your pitch. When you first finish it, it's probably about as complex as it will ever be. A great pitch is cut, reduce, shave down, and simplify. You need to put in the work to make it simple. And by the way, ChatGPT is an amazing tool for this. It can tell you, take out the bull in my presentation and give me just the essential bit. And you'll see how it works in just a second. Here's a quote to summarize things from one of my favorite writers. I apologize for the length of this letter. If I'd had more time, it would have been shorter. I apologize for the length of my pitch. If I'd had more time, it would have been shorter. Now, what I'd like to do is we're going to move on to something which is really practical, which is I'm going to tell you the last 5, which is a 5-step process. We're going to talk about how you build up a pitch. And you remember what those 5 points were? You start catching somebody's attention. You start with your conclusions. Secondly, you have your content. Your content is the 4 Ps or the 6 Ps. The close is how you end it. Then you talk about writing your pitch, and then you get feedback. And what we're going to look at is how we might do this all better with AI. You'll see how you can use AI to describe your target, how you can build your first pitch fast and get expert feedback. Now, one of the problems is I've been talking too long now. Normally, this should be an interaction. We're a small enough group here. Does anybody have a question that you'd like answered, or anything you say, I don't believe this, or I'd really like to know this?
Yes, question.
Yes, go ahead, Palmer.
Valerie, very simple. We are talking about length in time. Will you eventually later on elaborate length in number of slides? I
Yep.
know the two things go together, but I use the principle of 4 slides. What, why, how, and when I do my presentation. But yes, my question was just: are you eventually later on going to elaborate on the physical length of the number of slides? Thanks.
So actually, it's a good question. I have a disease. I tend to put a lot of slides out there because I like things visual and I like people to be seeing new things all the time. And I think there's probably two schools of thought. One is you have a lot of slides, and one you have very few slides. And sort of the middle ground is the point where things suffer. So Palmer, my suggestion to you is either do a lot with very little stuff on the slides, or do very few slides and just live with that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, let's see how we can put AI in the process. And what you're going to see. So we talk about
Bryan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Bryan. There's a question from Mike.
Yeah.
And how do you position understanding audience and crafting pitch for their individual profile in this process? That's a question.
Well, I think that's the starting point of any good pitch. The starting point of a pitch is figuring out who you're talking to and what do you want to say to them. And actually, Mike, you fell into just the next slide that's coming up here. So what do you do before you prepare a pitch? You have to figure out who you're talking to. You have to figure out what you want to talk to them about. And, if you don't understand your audience and understand what's in their mind right now, you can't make a good pitch. And if you come back to where we're talking about what makes a pitch goes from somebody understands this now, they understand something different later. Your pitch is what happens in between. So if you don't understand what they understand beforehand, you can't make a good pitch. So in the process, before I make a pitch to anybody, I suggest to people is to sit down and identify who you're talking to. Now, we used to do this with buyer personas and things like that. It would take us a couple hours. Now, we should have this amazing tool, which is ChatGPT or Claude or Anthropic or something like that. And you can say, I'm going to put in a prompt like this. Based on the following information, my target audience is pitch coaches and mentors. My communication objectives, how could we convince pitch coaches and mentors to use our pitching tools and run a course together? Please create 2 to 5 user archetypes. And what you have on the right-hand side here is exactly what pops out of ChatGPT. He created 5 different personas. I chose one. I chose the seasoned veteran. And the seasoned veteran is somebody who's been coaching. He may have been an entrepreneur in the past. He works with a lot of different people. And because of what I want to do is I want to have him in my head while I'm thinking about this. I went back to ChatGPT again and say, hey, look, here's my description of the guy. What I'd like you to do is to create a photo of the guy I'm talking to, so I know who I'm talking to. So in my mind right now, I'm talking to Jan. Jan is a little bit older. He's got a little bit more hair than I do, but the same color hair that I have. And he's a little bit skeptical of everything that's following out. So now we're going to get into the tools. This is the stuff that's cool for you. Now, what I've got here and I'm going to stop for just a second and put something in the chat. Give me just a second. So, so shoot, I don't. Okay, you're going to have to take my word for it. We have a website, which I'm going to send you a link to at the end of this presentation. It's not on the page. Actually, how about this? Give me just a second. I will find the link. And Frederick, ask a question.
Yes, Bryan, are you looking for AI for innovation pitching, or how is that?
No, I was looking. We have an online tool. In fact, we have 2 online tools, which we'll talk to you about. But in fact, just watch me, and we'll go through it. At the end, I promise I'll share it with you. What it is, it's a fill in the blank like you were as a kid. You know, Mad Libs. You know, answer this question, and it'll take you through the process of building a pitch really fast. So if you go to this website, autopitch.pythonanywhere.com, which is the beta version of our test, it will take you through a process. And that process is starting with an introduction, which we talked about earlier. 2 is looking at the content of your pitch, the 4 Ps. Then looking at a close. It'll write your pitch for you, and it'll get you in a place you're ready to get feedback. And basically what you have to do this is you just sort of have to fill in the blanks. Now, I'm flabbergasted with how well this works. Now, I should have started with the conclusion, so I'll tell you what the conclusion is. When I run courses in the past, 40% of the pitches were failed. When I bring in 2 AI tools, 1 which is a pitch maker and 2 which is a pitch evaluator, we go from 40% bad presentations down to 5% bad presentations. This is a dramatic change in my life. It makes everything better and more fun. So basically what we have is we have a place here where we ask you to provide some structured content for a pitch. It's actually pretty easy questions. What you need to do is you need to fill in the blanks. You click a button, and the button will tell you, did you fill in those blanks correctly? You know, if you said, look, you know, I'm trying to write a pitch about this. Is my benefit clear? Is it not clear? You get some AI feedback. You then review and update, and you click next, and you go to the next page. So let me show you what this looks like. So this is the input that goes into this model. And we talked about before, where does a pitch start? It starts with passion. It starts with a goal. It starts with what people believe before and what do they believe afterwards. So in this specific case, I believe it's important that people pitch better because it's a big part of our mission. My goal here is to get people attending the pitch event to use our tools and work together in the future. These tools are free. You can use them. I'm not making money off of it. But I'd like you to come to a course. I'd like you to do stuff together. I'd like you to help young people make better pitches and do more fantastic things. What I think is interesting here is sort of where I'm guessing most of you are. Most of you have some experience. Yeah, topic's kind of interesting, but I already have my own tools and my own methods. And what I need to do is I need to get you from there to I want to work with GEA. I want to use their tools and do some stuff together. Okay, this will get me started. The second thing, and this is probably the most important part of a pitch, it sets the tone for everything that follows. In one line, what is your pitch about? Well, if I wanted to make a pitch here, it's about helping people make better pitches. And knowing that making better pitches is hard work. And we've built a series of AI tools to make it easier. You should borrow some of them in your work. Why should you believe me? Well, we've done this with over 5,000 startups, and we have a new book on pitching. It's easy. We've already done the work for you. In fact, we even provide you in the document that follows up here, we even provide the prompts where you can run the things yourself. And what's cool about it is when you do this stuff, Your work will be more fun. You'll stop worrying about getting the basics, and you'll start helping people work on making great pitches. The problem that comes up in most teaching, in most coaching, is actually the people that take the most time are the worst people, not the best people. So what you're doing, you're spending all your time getting people up to a certain level. Now, the next step that comes up is to fill in sort of the heart of the presentation. For me, the guts, the heart and soul of any pitch is the 4 Ps. I've used this all the time. You wake me up in the middle of the night, you shake me, say, what are the 4 Ps? I can rattle them off. In fact, my students, I think the biggest compliment that anyone ever made is they said, look, you could wake me up and shake me in the middle of the night, and I would be able to repeat some of the things that you taught me in the courses. The 4 Ps is one of them. So when you start writing a pitch, you have to think in terms of your audience. What is the problem they have? What is the promise that you make to them? Does it solve that problem? What is the proof that you can deliver on it? What do they get out of it? And if there's money involved, why is it a good investment? And why are you passionate about it? If I look in this case, I work hard helping, but the companies I worked with failed to deliver great pitches too often. I spend too much time working on the basics instead of helping people build great pitches. Our promise to you is AI tools for your clients and mentees that they can use on their own to get the basics right, to check and improve. What we have within the AI tool is we have actually a way where people can go out and check to see if this is clear and straightforward. Is the problem unique? And does the benefit on the other side match up? The proof is, why should you believe me? We already have built the most important tools, an AI augmented pitch maker, a pitch review tools, and ways to turn this into a pitch deck. More importantly, we've seen it works in practice. The payoff for you is with these tools, you can stop worrying about the foundations, go from teaching the basics to teaching something great. What I'm going to tell you is AI is not going to make a great pitch. AI is going to make a good pitch. But what you can do is, once you have a good pitch, you can go to make it a great pitch. And you can make better use of your time and energy, and you'll be able to make cool stuff happen. All right. So the checkpoint 2, is there a problem, benefit, reason to believe clear? Is there a compelling payoff? If there's a business pitch, is there evidence you can make a profit? Within our little AI tool, if you go and use it, you fill it in, it'll answer those questions. And what you need to do is go back and say, I'm going to get there. Okay, last bit. You have to close with purpose. So we have introduction, the meat, the end, the call to action. Go to this link to learn more. We have the tools ready to go, and we're happy to share. We're open to working with you. There's lots we can learn together. It'll be fun. Together, we can help anyone, anywhere, pitch anything better and faster. The question you have to ask here is this: would people understand this? Okay. Now, the time it takes to do this is about 10 to 15 minutes. I originally thought about doing this event where having people fill it in live for a pitch they're working on. And I said, oh, shoot, it's going to be hard because you have to manage people. But we have an event coming up, we're going to do it live. The whole thing takes about 10 to 15 minutes. And then with this information, you can do something really cool. Well, you could sit down and write your pitch. I'm not saying to go make a pitch deck. You should write your pitch first. But in this case, AI doesn't disappoint. We actually have a prompt, which is, hey, we've been working on a pitch and we need some help writing a script for a pitch. We've completed a pitch template. It looks like this. The questions in the template are filled out in the following way, and the questions asked are shown in the following way. Please write a script for our talk. Okay, now imagine we put that in. This is what we get back from AI. We've spent 10 to 15 minutes. I can tell you, if you ask me to do a 2-hour presentation, I need about an hour to prepare. If you ask me to do a 20-minute presentation, it typically takes me a day to 2 days to write it. If you want me to write a 3 to 5 minute pitch, It takes me a week. AI in a fill in the blank process did this whole thing in about 15 minutes. Now, if you look at this, it's not great, but it's pretty good. Let me read it out to you. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about the importance of making better pitches. Helping people make better pitches is a crucial part of our mission, and we believe that the right tools and support, we can work together to achieve great results. Before we begin, I want to ask you a few questions. Do you already know how to make a pitch? Have you come here today because the topic is interesting, but you already have your own tools and methods? I want to challenge you to consider a different approach. We go on, and actually what you'll find is if you were to read this, it actually sounds pretty close to what a human being talks like. It's not the cringeworthy AI, which is, you know how ChatGPT writes. Because you forced it within boundaries, it actually writes stuff that's pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's easy to edit. And why it's cool is it's really hard to start with a blank page. And it's amazing the amount of time we save. I was telling you before how long it takes me. So typically for me, it takes me 2 hours to do an hour to prepare a 2-hour pitch, but it takes me a few days to write a 3 to 5 minute pitch. AI actually does one thing. It allows you to give up your little darlings and make things easier. We then go through, we do a little bit of editing. Okay, this takes me about 10 minutes. I remove some repetition. I talk in my own voice. I add some proof. I sharpen the call to action. I come up with a new pitch. And it all comes together to the last point, which is the golden secret. Feedback is the secret sauce of great pitching. Pitch, practice, get feedback. How do you make a great pitch? Present it with your friends. It's really ugly. You go to a meetup, it's still a bit ugly. You speak at a conference, you get better and better over time. When I did this without AI, we had a tool which we shared with all the students in the class. It was a great tool, but it took too long and people didn't use it. In fact, if you want, you can still download it. I'll give you the link in the presentation. It's a tool to get feedback on your pitch. You upload a pitch, provide some information. People go to it, they download a copy, they upload their pitch, they get some details, they share it with a few people, they get a little bit of feedback, they get advice on how to do it. And what happens is, because my students are usually late, because of people are preparing their pitch in the middle of the evening, they don't get the feedback. You've got this little buddy called ChatGPT who's willing to work at 2 o'clock in the morning to help your pitch. And what we have, which is probably more interesting, is we have a tool that does it for you. So if you click on this link, we have a beta version. This is the beta 1.0 version. It's ugly, but it works. And what you need to do is you take that pitch. Where was it? You take that, you just upload it into the box. You push, get a pitch evaluation, and it will score your pitch. And in fact, what it does is it does 35 pitch review prompts. Frankly, this is just one of the prompts. And what it comes out is it gives you a scoring of your pitch. This pitch was above average, not great, but good enough. And what we identified were a series of things where you need to improve. So for example, if I look at the pitch we had, we didn't appeal to the crocodile brain. Our solution wasn't unique. We had to have credibility, so on and so forth. And we said, okay, look, we go through. Now the process that comes up here, you go through, you improve it, you go back. And the process is you write it, you get feedback, you go back to the beginning, you keep on going in the loop. And I know what a lot of people are thinking is, I want to make a pitch deck. Like, honestly, making a pitch deck with AI is really, really fast and really easy. There's a prompt. If you have a talk, if you have your 3-minute talk, it says, please act like a pitching coach expert at making talks and pitches. Please make slides for a PowerPoint presentation based on this pitch. For each slide, provide a title, key bullet points, the script, and suggest an image to be used. Boom, you do this, this pop out. You upload it to presentations.ai or Dectopus or one of the other ones. And what you'll have is you have a final pitch in approximately 10 minutes. Not perfect, pretty good. The summary here, a story, you make a story, then a deck. You target 5 minutes. Work on a beginning, middle, and end. Work step by step and use AI to make everything easier. What we see is before, when we were running these in our courses or pitching events, is approximately 40% of pitches failed. With an AI augmented pitch template and a pitch review, we're down to 5% that fail. So why is this cool? 90 minutes to finish, and it's good enough. Now, all right. Questions? Frederick, what do you think? Would you be happy if you could make a pitch in 90 minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Palmer, would you be happy?
Yes, actually, I'm already over that. I'm thinking to other questions to ask you regarding privacy and the platform. But no, I would be very happy to use my time in a better and more efficient way.
So I used to be a mentor at the Founders Institute. We spent 6 weeks before people got to their first 3 to 5 minute pitch, which was good enough to present to somebody. 6 weeks, hard work, interaction. This using AI, you're using exactly the same process, but you're splitting the work out. You get AI to do stuff that's hard for you to do. It's hard when you know your stuff very well to keep things short. AI can keep things short. It's hard to get feedback at 2 o'clock in the morning. AI can give you feedback at 2 in the morning. It's hard to find all the images you want. AI can provide you all the images you want. So where would you go with this? I can give you a couple next steps. The first next step, if it works, is you could follow the steps in this talk. You can download the tools. The presentation's available at the following link, and I will actually, at the end of the talk here, I'll give you all the links again. And I meant to put them at the beginning of the talk. I forgot to do it. You can go to our pitch maker. Thank you, Frederick, for typing it in. Second thing, you can go to our pitch maker tool, and that can be there. Or you can go to our pitch review and you can get it. Option number 2, you could answer a few questions about the talk and we'll send you a few free gifts. We have a pitching course on Udemy, which is about an hour long, which I honestly believe one of the best pitch courses on pitching. You can get a 50% discount on our courses coming up. We teach courses on AI for innovation. You get a free copy of my book, and you can get links to the tools as we get this better and better. For those of you interested, I got a couple talks coming up. I will talk, and I see Gerald has talked about it here. He's got the Artificial Intelligence Innovation Summits. I'll talk about AI and creativity. There will be approximately 30,000 people there. If you want to see the best speakers, and I'm not saying I'm the best speaker, but if you want to see the best speakers talking about AI, it's a fantastic event. The second thing we have coming up is there's a free 1-hour talk, middle of February, which is around AI and creativity. And then we have a few full-day training sessions, one in the US, February 29th, and one on EU times on March 14th. If you want, we can work together. And this is what I wanted to share with you. So this is all the links to everything. So hold on, just give me just. Boom. All right, why is it? So I'm going to stop sharing. Hold on, I'm going to stop. So, Oh, it doesn't work. All right, we got here. These are the links that you should have gotten. So there's lots of links, lots of things you can do. Now, what I was going to propose is we have a bit of time. You can ask any question. You can, if you tell me that this is horrible stuff and it's not useful, that would be just as good as something else.
Um,
Hey,
Pardon me.
Palmer, you're
Yeah.
my favorite guy. You keep on talking.
Well, my
Fantastic.
accent, I think, makes you. I can try to start on the camera, but I don't know with the bandwidth if we do it or not. I'm going to receive from Microsoft a presentation on their cockpit.
Mhm.
You understand from my accent, I'm Italian and I'm in Europe anyhow, and we are quite keen here on GDPR and all this stuff. So Microsoft is selling the idea, oh, everything stays in your SharePoint or your Office 365, whatever. What about your solution? I mean, in terms of privacy and storage of data, whatever. Because you can imagine, I work in cybersecurity. Maybe I have to add this. Sometimes the topic is a bit sensitive. So how does your solution?
The tools that we've made, we keep no data, none at all. So you upload it, it produces the output. The bad news for you is you can't go back and get it again.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. If there is a save button, then it's okay. No,
you can export it as a PDF.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is something important in terms of data security. One of the things that comes up though is you have to, the key solution to all of this, AI is not the solution, it's how you use AI. So you use Microsoft Copilot and you say you want to make a presentation about this, it'll make a presentation, but it won't be very good. What you need to do is you need to think of ways to put deep thinking into the process and to work together with stuff. And maybe that in your company it has to be behind a firewall. That's not too difficult. There's lots of LLMs that do the same stuff as ChatGPT, and you can do it there. And if you want, Palmer, I'm happy to share the prompts that we use to evaluate the pitches, to make the pitches, and you can run them on your own server. They're actually
I understand and I take your suggestion. I've not started with the Copilot yet. I've been asked to do it in the company I work with, and I think with my name and accent, people will easily find me on LinkedIn. Yeah, I mean, there are not many Palmer Italian, I suppose.
But you know what's fantastic? Have you ever seen HeyGen? So I'm doing a course in Italian.
Really? Do you speak Italian?
I don't speak a word of Italian.
Oh, okay. just no, because I'm surprised about, I always suppose nobody speaks Italian, and then I find people that say, oh yeah, no, but I think I will pick up your well, not challenge, but I should start Copilot somewhere in February, and then maybe at the end I would ask to my CISO if she wants to make a comparative test, if you understand what I mean, to use a different tool, because we are getting pushed to use it. I think it's, and I hope there's no marketing Microsoft people here on to use it, because it comes with the license, it comes with whatever, but I'm not very happy of let me use an Italian word, a minestrone kind of soup, where you can find that vegetables inside. Yeah. So yeah, I've registered and recorded, and I've already used actually your website while we were talking. If I tell you what I asked, I mean what my presentations told to the presentation, I wanted to increase the number of customers into my Italian restaurant.
Okay,
that's the example I used, and he gave me good advice. I don't have Italian restaurant, but it was just fun of it. So no, yeah.
Let me answer a couple of the other questions that came in here, Palmer. So I've got one from Dennis. Dennis was one of the co-authors of my book, Cycles. So Dennis, glad to see you. I don't see you anywhere, but I see you're typing. So why didn't I instruct ChatGPT to use the pyramid principle format for the pitch? That's a really good question, and I'm going to steal your idea and I'm going to make a pyramid principle pitch as one of the options and outputs. So the answer is I didn't think about it, but it's a very good idea. Other people have questions, feedback, thoughts, ideas. This idea of using, so I think the problem is people want to use ChatGPT to do all their work. And actually, when you use ChatGPT to do all your work is pretty poor. But when you work together with it, you can make amazing stuff. And the idea here is to do this interaction where you actually use it to do the things it's good at, and you don't use it for the things it's not good at. Rick, I see I kept you here the whole way. So you didn't go off and do your other stuff. So that's good.
I did not, and I let about 25 or 30 people in, so that was good. And we had some fun. ChatGTP is good at making things more succinct. I have a friend who is a advisor to people in a PhD program, and she advises them all to use ChatGTP on their dissertations to make them more succinct.
Oh man, God, I wish I had this when I was doing my PhD. It would have been so cool. But I mean, what's really cool is the way it can summarize an article or something like that. And, I think, the future that comes up here is going to be training models working together with it and making things better and better. Seb, I've got a question here. It's a private question to me. Hi, Bryan. Can you visualize interaction with listeners, simulate their feedback, also nonverbal communication? Right now, we don't do that. There are tools right now that will measure, for example, the inflection in your voice, the confidence in your voice, and things like that. I start with a really strong point of view, and that is, it doesn't matter your presentation skills to a large extent. What matters is if you have a real problem to solve and you offer a real solution for your audience, and if you have a real reason to believe, you can be a horrible presenter and you will still get a good pitch. And I focus all my work on the content. And there's other people who stand up and do different types of things. I see another one here. Are you familiar with the Epiphany Bridge format that Russell Brand made popular? Dennis, you come up with more things, and I'm going to have to search these after the meeting. One of the things that we do have right now is in the pitch tool. The final version of the pitch tool is we have 4 different outputs of the pitch. There's a what is this? It's a format which makes 20 slides with 1 word per slide. Pierre Kupchka format or something like that. I don't remember the name of it. There's another one which is an elevator pitch, and there's another one which is a problem solution pitch. And I think all of that is quite cool. And there you go, Dennis. You should say hello. Come on, say hello from the Netherlands. You're Dutch. You can't be shy, Dennis.
Hello.
Hey, how are you doing, my friend?
Very good, thank you. I just that I didn't shave today, so that's why I kind of shy today.
Yeah, but I mean, you got hair on top of your head, so you're beautiful. It's not.
What can I say? What can I say?
No. So what I would really like it, guys, is I'll send you a follow-up after the meeting today, which is asking you for some feedback on the presentation. This is the first time that I've done this presentation. It's actually really hard to do this in this format. It's really easy when you're in touch with people and you're in the same room with them. You're looking over their shoulder. And it's easier in a longer format. When you do it as a half day, it's really easy because you have time for people to use the tools. And I really like your feedback and ideas. In exchange for that, you get lots of cool stuff. Free books, free pitching tools, all that kind of stuff. So that's it. I promised an hour. Does anybody have a last remark or a last suggestion?
Thank you for your time on putting this together. I know you only had it for 2 hours, but you did a nice job.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And I will send you an email with a follow-up and would love to hear what's going on. And by the way, the links that Gerard is sending in, you really should sign up for the event. It's got the best speakers that you can imagine. If you're interested in AI, you look in where you need to go. It's really a good set of talks. And I'm hoping my talk there will be up to the mark with the other talk.